to E3 on Twitch. I'm Anna Prosser-Robinson, joined by my co-host, as always, Marcus, and our friends Rich and Daniel, here to talk to us about Shadow of the Tomb Raider. And I could not be more excited because I have so many questions for you guys.
I hope you're ready.
I am
We are here to answer
stoked.
them.
But,
Most of them.
okay, I figured you can't answer all of them, but that's okay. But before I even dive in, what do you want us most to know from the trailer we just saw? What are you hoping fans are seeing and realizing about Shadow of the Tomb Raider?
That this is the story about obsession and temptation, and there's really a duality of what's happening, and that's why we see one side, one of the side, what would be, whatever it's vertical or horizontal, what is one choice and what would be the other one, and this is really what this game is about. It's about this temptation. What would you do with that kind of power?
And we really look at this as being Lara Croft's defining moment. She's been through so much, and she has to make choices along the way, especially in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, on her way to becoming the Tomb Raider she's meant to be. And that's why, as you saw in the trailer, as Dan was talking about, the two different ways that she could go, the two different, things that she could become. And we obviously want you to feel like Lara has got so much inner turmoil in this. And we want it to be an aspirational, pushing through that darkness as well. But in this trailer, we're trying to show you the variety of actions and the conflict and the turmoil that Lara has to go to become the Tomb Raider.
Does that translate into gameplay? Or, and maybe this is one of those things you can't answer, but...
It's not one of those things where we're saying, oh, the game is going to change depending on whether you go this way or not. This is a narrative choice that we're making. Yeah. So we want you, as you're playing, to be at times questioning Lara's motives. We want you to be looking at Jonah, who's with her, and saying, okay, he's sometimes a moral compass for her. It's not like, oh, the world's going to change based on this or that action. It's more about the narrative roller coaster that we're taking you on is going to be that inner conflict that she has to push through.
But the gameplay represents that in a certain way. It doesn't do the choice itself, but we're representing in gameplay the two types of Lara that you could find. And she has to make a choice which one she will be at the end. And that is why we're talking about this defining moment, because Tomb Raider means, preserving and protecting. And this is what really matters, at the end for Lara. But there's a path there where it could be something else. It could be about possessing and could be about, making things your own and being consumed by your obsession, by wanting things to be your way.
When you talk about that obsession, right, we've always kind of looked at Lara through the lens of, the obsession with, solving what her father couldn't, or, just the idea of raiding tombs or being that explorer. So is that a part of the obsession that we're talking about? Or I feel like there might be layers that maybe are not, right? Like that you...
Yeah. There's a lot that goes into the title. When you think about Shadow of the Tomb Raider, we're talking about stepping out of her father's shadow. We're talking about the shadow of what she could be as a person. We're talking about the inner conflict that Lara is going through, the darkness within her that she has to push through. We're talking about, the fact that being a Tomb Raider has such a responsibility, it casts such a large shadow, and we're actually talking about the eclipse. If you remember, we talked about when we first revealed the title, we said shadow actually means a lot of different things. So all throughout the narrative and all throughout, the story that we're telling, the word shadow means so many different things. So it absolutely fits into what you're talking about as well.
I'm so interested because as a Tomb Raider fan, I know where Lara ends up, right? I've seen where she is after all this happens. And so with this being the final chapter in the origin story, we're all kind of wondering, how does she turn into that person that we've seen? Is that what we can expect here, is the closing of the gap? Or will we find a Tomb Raider that maybe has evolved or is a little bit different than the one we know?
I think it's definitely an evolution.
It's an evolution, but you would be saying that through what she went through to really approach where we know where, what she was in terms of when we're talking about the previous games and things like that. That's the goal. For us, when you look at even the way she dressed, the way the blue tank top things, we're really approaching to what it means to be a Tomb Raider when we're talking about, because we talking about that she was introduced to tomb raiding in 2013 and then Rise, we're very discovering that, but here she really becomes the Tomb Raider, protecting, that's what she needs to learn through that. And this is the thing we explore in this game. We have these two aspects, the positive aspect of it, and also some of the more darker aspect of it.
And I think it's always through that lens, the survival action lens that you've seen throughout Tomb Raider and Rise of the Tomb Raider. For example, when we took you back to Croft Manor, it wasn't the Croft Manor that you remembered from the classic games.
Right.
We drew inspiration from it. We try and make sure that we're paying respectful homage to it. But it was a Croft Manor from a Lara Croft perspective of she walked away from that fortune, and the manor had fallen into disrepair. And so we'll do the same thing with what it means to become a Tomb Raider.
Exactly.
It's not that at the end she's going to strap on,
No.
a second pistol and put on sunglasses. It's that
But are you
she's-
sure?
we're not going to get there just yet. But the point is that we're going to redefine what it means through the survival action lens of what it means to become the Tomb Raider.
Exactly.
I do want to ask about the survival action lens, because I know we've even seen some evolution from the first reboot Tomb Raider to now of what things we're doing with Lara in the game. In the second, there was a lot more of like, hey, we get it, you guys want more tombs, take us back to the tombs. Are we going to see yet another evolution of what we're going to get to do with Lara in the game? Because I see what looks like a lot more puzzles.
Yes.
There's a lot more puzzles. They're deadlier. They're more dangerous, of course. Also, the world is bigger. There's a more aspect, because that's the thing. There's more tomb raiding in this game than the previous two
good.
games.
Great.
Okay, it feels much more Tomb Raider, even though there's a survival aspect of it. But at a certain point in the game, you really feel you're getting into a much more Tomb Raider vibe.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you say big, do you mean big, like big? You mean big from scale? Because I always loved scale.
We mean that the tombs are bigger.
Yes.
There are more tombs, and the hub space in particular is the biggest
Got
that
it.
we've
It's the
ever
biggest that we ever
delivered
built.
in a Tomb
Okay.
Raider game.
Yes.
And because we know that that's something that our fans love. We love taking them on a roller coaster ride and letting them have the parts where you're really on that journey with Lara, but then we make sure that we get you into a hub and the world opens up, and that's when you have the hidden side missions, you have challenge tombs, you have side quests, total optional things. And for us, it really is, to Dan's point, every single pillar that we look at in the game, we want to take to the next level. So
Yep.
yes, there are more tombs, they are deadlier, they are scarier than ever before, they're bigger, that's going to make you feel like, yes, I am tomb raiding. We take the combat to the next level. So like you said, we're going to be doing new things with Lara. We start you with skills that she knew in the prior game. So it's not like you start
Hey,
from scratch.
I didn't forget
We make
everything.
sure that you feel like Lara, now she sure has progression along the way,
course.
but we are showing Lara at the most capable, most confident she's ever been.
Cool.
And
We take
providing-
traversal to the next level too. Sorry, one last thing. We take traversal to the next level. And that even you see, if you look at the musculature on the back
I
of her
noticed
shoulders,
that.
she's doing things that she was never capable of doing before, climbing upside down, mantling
I
up
know, I
over
see
things.
that, yeah.
So every single step of the way, and then of course we already talked about the narrative, every single pillar, we are trying to deliver the next level. So you do feel like I am playing the most accomplished version of Lara Croft I've ever played.
And to just finish on that, it's providing also much more control to the player. Building the kind of Lara, having a much more accomplished, so the player can experience that also in the way playing Lara, where she's much more in control and you are much more in control also.
When you say that, I know that one of the things that we saw in Rise of the Tomb Raider was I could decide whether I want to run and gun or I can stealth the whole game.
Yeah.
Is that the kind
Absolutely.
of control you're talking about?
It's the same thing, but in Rise we had much more opportunities during what we call the assault, which was shooting. In this case, we provide a lot more opportunities also in stealth. You can still do the assault part of it, and now because she's much more in control and she's much more experienced, even the weapons, even though they are kind of similar, they are much more powerful and you feel much more powerful. But you can still do that. But the most rewarding aspect of it when you're thinking about it is looking at combat through the puzzles aspect of it, saying, okay, now I could do this, this, and that to trigger that in assault, but also in stealth. Now I have a lot more opportunities for the
Is
player
that like
to be in
some
control.
of the? I saw the trap where it looked like she.
Yeah,
By-
like she's doing a
Trap
hanging
someone.
takedown.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
so she
okay.
can stay. So
Yeah.
Lara can spend a lot more time up in the canopy now.
Yeah.
You can actually get to the back up in there after you do that takedown once you improve that skill. And the idea is that, again, Lara being very, very capable now, she can do much more in stealth, or she can do much more in assault. And the thing that I love is that when you pop that bubble, as we call it, and go into assault mode, you can actually get back in the canopy or stay unseen for a while,
Cool.
and enemies will go back to stealth, so you can re-engage, as opposed to in Rise, where it was all stealth all the time once you pop the bubble. Now you can actually get back into
Yeah, you can
stealth.
I
back
love
in
it.
stealth, yes.
This, you're saying all these things that make my little heart go pitter-pat. Looking at combat through the puzzle lens of Lara, I'm so excited for that. Unfortunately, they only let me talk to you for a little while. So tell me anything people should know where they can go to find out more, any dates we know yet, anything like that.
Absolutely. So Rise of the Tomb Raider will be out on Xbox One, on PlayStation 4, and PC on September 14th, and they can go to tombRaider.com for more details.
Great. Thank you guys
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Can't
Thank
wait.
you.
And guys, don't go anywhere because we'll be right back with more from E3 on Twitch right after this.